Okay, so the lessons will be recorded for those that cannot be present. And if you want, we can start with the basics. Are you ready?
Wait, um, I'm inviting my friend.
Okay. Let me create an empty scene for. Okay, so when you open Unity, it usually is not arranged like this. These panels come in a different order. But let me explain each panel what it is. So first, the scene panel here, you can see all the objects in the scene, and you have different tools here for selecting, moving, rotating, resizing. So here are all the objects in the scene, and you can visually see them here. But if you want to see the components and the properties of these objects, you need to look in the hierarchy here in the uh, top right corner. Okay, here are all the objects. In this case, it's a new scene, so we only have the camera. um, and if you have a simple game that doesn't require a background with texture, meaning if you want to have the background solid color, you can just change the color here in the camera to whatever you like. um, Now this panel here below the scene, it's the game panel where you can see where you can simulate the game. And the console here, you can in this panel you can see errors, or you can debug your code. um, and the project panel, here are all the assets. I recommend that you make a folder called resources, and place all assets in that folder, because in Unity there is a function you can load assets by script, and to do that you need to have those assets in a folder called resources. Okay, and I like to keep everything organized. I have a folder for animations, audio prefabs, which means objects that are saved, scenes, scripts, sprites. And now what I will teach you today, it's for 2D games. For 3D it's a little bit different. But let's first look at the most important components in Unity. Okay, so I'll create an empty object. Someone is messaging me. One second. It's okay. The lessons are recorded. You can watch it. The chat on the live. I see. Just let me. Okay. You don't need to use anything. You don't need to have the Unity opened. I see your mic is not working. Okay. You don't have to do anything. At the end, when we finish a project, I'll send you the file so you can open it on your computer. Okay. Okay. So let's first look at the most important properties and components. So every object has a transform. This transform means three things: position, the position in space on all three dimensions, the rotation, of course, and the scale, which means the size of the object. And sometimes when you create an empty object like this, you see you have some random values. To solve this, you need to click on these dots here and press reset, and now it's at 0, 0, 0 on all axis. Okay, another thing, you have tag, which tag is basically a category. You create a category for objects, and layer, this is used for physics. Layers are used for physics. Tags are used in more situations than physics, but the layers are useful when you want to have layers, when you want to stop the interaction between some objects. Okay, the most important component in 2D is this one, sprite renderer. This shows an image, but in this case it came with nothing here, so let's place this one here. Okay, so this shows an image. You can even change the color, but if your object is something different than white, then this will not work very well. As you can see, we have this red apple here, and you can try to make it green, but see, it does not work. This property here is useful when you have an image that is white and you want to have it in multiple colors, because if it's white, then you can set it to any color without problems. That is the only case when you when this is useful. This one, flip, let me find another image that is better for this. See, we have this banana here. If we flip on X, you flip the image on the horizontal axis, and this here is for vertical axis, like this. Okay, what else is important here? Let's see. We have the sorting layer. Okay, so images are shown in an order. So let's demonstrate this. We'll create two objects with sprite renderer. Okay, an apple and a banana. Okay, now the apple is above the banana, but see, you can either use numbers in the same layer, or you can have different layers. So if you want to show the banana above the apple, then we can just put it one layer above, like this. Sorry, not this one, the other one. Okay, see, and now it's above that object, because it's one layer above it. But you can also do it by using layers. So let's say this one is, let me change the name so I know which one is which. Okay, and we can also do it, so you can either modify the order in layer of two objects in the same layer, or you can have different layers. So if I say this is default and this is, let's say, this is background, now the apple is above. But if I say this is default and this is background, and the banana is okay. Next important component is colliders, and you can see you have many options. Only thing that differs is the shape. So you have box collider, capsule, 2D, circle, edge collider, which is a line, polygon collider, which automatically detects the object. See, if you use it's not always precise. You have to move it. You have to reselect using this button, edit collider. You can resize it. But most of the times we work with box colliders and circles colliders, and this is used to for a couple of things. One is um, in physics. So, for example, let's place this below the apple here, and let's replace this with so let's remove this and create a box collider 2D. Okay, and in here you can see you have different properties. um, the most important one are size, offset if you want to center it in a different position, or but the most important one is this one, is trigger. If this is not checked, then physics will apply to these objects. And to have physics, you need another component called rigid body, and this is for both 2D and 3D. You need this for physics. And if I place this rigid body on the apple, now we also need a collider, circle collider. Okay, and let me explain the properties here. So this gives physics, but let's demonstrate this first. I will play the scene, and now you can see here in the game panel that they will collide, and the apple stops falling because it collides with this other collider on the banana. But um, if if I say that this banana is trigger, if I check this, then physics are disabled, and now the apple will fall through the banana. Okay, see, and 1 second, someone is okay. I thought someone was messaging. Okay, now let's look at some properties in this component. So body type dynamic. Dynamic means you can it moves by itself or by script. If you say static, then it is not moving, it will be static. And if it's kinematic, means it can only be moved by script. Okay, let's see what else. Automass, I guess this is one is used for automatically giving a value for the mass. Mass, this is obvious what it is. This one are like for friction. These ones are for friction. And the gravity scale, the power of gravity. If you set this to 0, the object will not have gravity. Okay, and the collision detection, discrete or continuous, I guess how precise the collision is. But the most important thing are mass, gravity, and these constraints. You can stop the movement on an axis or the rotation. These one are the most useful. If you want to show text but without user interface, you use something called text mesh, like this. And this is this will not scale with screen size because it's not UI, but this one is used for text. Okay, what else? Another useful component is the animator. This is used for animations. Let's create before you can use this, you need something called an animator controller. And let's call this test. And into the animations can be done two ways. One is you go here. So in both ways you need to go to select the object, then go to Window, Animation. Here you can create animations for this object with this animator controller. Call this test. And there are two ways to make animations. One is you modify some property of the object, like this. Here you press add property and you have all the components, and you can modify a property, let's say the scale in this case. And you see these squares here represent here the animation starts and here the animation finishes. And let's say we go to the middle, and if you want to modify a property, you need to press this red button, record. Then you need to go to the inspector and modify that property to the desired value. Let's say we want to increase by 50% the size, and then return to normal. Okay, and now let's go here in our scene, and you can see that now we have an animation. And that is one way to create animation, by modifying properties. And another, now let's delete this completely, and let me show the other method, which is you can add the frames of an animation. If you have an animation frame by frame, see, let's add, if we add all this, see, now we have an animation based on the separate sprites of the animation. So we talked about sprite renderer, colliders, rigid body, which gives physics. And one thing about about animations in the animator panel, you can have multiple animations and create transitions from one to another, with conditions or without conditions. So in this panel you manage the animations, and the an animator contains so this object here called this component animator has an animator controller, and that animator controller has all the animations for the object. Okay, what else? Now, how to add assets in Unity? One way is you make this window smaller like this, and you drag and drop from anywhere in this panel here called the project. And but if you want to download it from the Unity Asset Store, you need to go to first you need to go to the Asset Store and add it to your assets on your account, and then you need to go here, Packet Manager, and these ones are from Unity, but here in My Assets you should have the list of assets you added from the Unity Asset Store, and then you need to download them and then import them. Here in the top right corner you have the download button, and after you download it you can import it. So this is if you want to import assets from the Asset Store. What is here? The build settings. Here you have you can switch platform. In this case Windows is selected because we make this for Windows, but you can make the game for any platform. Here you can switch platform, And what is here in scenes in build, here you need to add all your scenes in order. So in this case, the main menu is the first scene when you enter the game. Another useful thing here in project settings, you have physics 2D, and we talked about layers. Here you can disable interaction between you can disable or enable interaction between layers. What else? Script execution order sometimes is necessary if you want to change the order of some scripts. Okay. Now let's look a little bit. Let's talk about UI, user interface. If you want to add user interface, you first need the canvas. This will contain all the UI elements. Uh, this is the canvas, and it's important. It's important here in canvas scaler to select. Almost never you'll use this constant pixel size, because this is useful if you make the game for a specific one specific resolution. But if you want it for multiple resolutions, you need to select scale with screen size, and here you give it a reference. I like to put full HD. Yeah. And now you can place UI elements inside this object. But first, let's talk about ch children of objects. Um, if you if I take this apple and place it as children of this banana, now this is a child of this, and it moves with it. If I move the banana, see, it moves with the apple, and if I rotate it again, it rotates rotates with the banana. So everything in this transform that you modify will affect the children as well, and you can have children of children as many times as you want. Okay, now let's discuss some code, some important. Let's create an empty object. Let's make a test script. Now I will explain the most important functions and syntax in Unity. And after that I will explain this is from the game. So this is an empty script. Okay, so when you create a script, this is how it looks like when you open it, when you first create it. This function here, void start, this one, everything you put inside here will happen once at the spawn of an object. If you want to do it at the start of the scene, you need something called the void awake, like this. And what you put in here in awake will happen when the scene is loaded. But I don't like this one, and almost never need it. And update, it happens once per frame. So this happens once a frame. Now let's say we want to save that object here, the banana, in this script. To do that, we create a public. Now you know that you have different types, like int, which is an integer, float, which is a real number, string, which is used for words. But in Unity you also have other classes, like game object. This is the whole object, an entire object with all its components. Okay, let's say we call this banana object. And now if you go back to the editor, you see that this is not visible here in the inspector. That is because unless you specify public, this will be private by default. Public means two things. One, it will be visible in the inspector, and also it can be accessed by other scripts. If it's private, then it cannot be accessed from other scripts. Now let's drag this banana here. Call this test script. So to add an object here, we just drag and drop. Now we have this object in the script, and if you want to get a certain component from the object, you first need to declare it. So let's say we want the sprite renderer. We say public sprite renderer, and to get it in start, we say this is equal. Now if you say what it says here, get component sprite render, without specifying the object, it will try to find that component from the object that is attached to this script. So in this case, if you want that component from the banana, we need to specify. So banana object, and then this get component is used for any component, and then you specify the name of the component. In this case, sprite renderer, and then you put parentheses because it's a function. So this means you get that sprite renderer component from the banana and place it in this variable, and you can use this for any component. Now that we know how to get components, if you want to modify a property of that component, in this case our sprite renderer, you just add that after it, and you see you have an entire list of properties here that you can select. Now let's discuss UI for a second. So I said that you need a canvas where you place all the UI, and you need to scale with screen size so it adapts to all the resolutions. And you have different UIs: images, text, panel, which stretches with the screen. But what is important is if you want to access that by code, you need to say here using Unity engine.ui. So you need to have this if you should try to access this by code, access UI by code. And if you want to change scenes, you need to have a Unity engine scene management. Okay, and the most important, there are two very important things to know. One is this enumerator. This is a coroutine, which is the same as an update function, but and this is used for processes that take time. Let's call this test routine. Okay, and here inside this, so this is like an update, so happens over a period of time, and you need to wait inside this to work. You need to wait at least one frame. So this means wait one frame, but you can also wait seconds. So to wait seconds, you return new wait for seconds. As you also have wait for end of frame, but the most used is to wait for seconds, and then you specify the amount of seconds. Okay, so this is used for processes that take time. or you have multiple processes and you need to wait between them a certain amount of time. So this is very useful. And another very important thing is on trigger on collision enter 2D in this case. So this happens at collision when you enter a collider, basically. But this has a couple versions. You have this one, so on collision enter, but you also have on collision exit. So when you exit the collider, this happens. So everything you put in this happens at the exit when you exit the collider. And you also have another one on collision stay. So this happens while you stay inside the collider. Now, what if we want to detect the collision with a certain object, just or certain category of objects? To do that, here you say if collision collider compare tag, and the name of tag. Which tags we discussed are categories. So by doing this, you can detect the collisions with a certain category by doing this. So this is collision. When you see collision, this is for physics-based interactions. But if we want collision without physics, then because remember that collider component has this option is trigger, which disables physics. Okay, and for that you have all these trees, but for triggers. On trigger, see, this is without physics, for interactions without physics. Almost every game has some type of collision, whether it is physics based or without physics. Now let's talk about how to get input. Just input. So let's say we want to detect when space is pressed. We say in the update we check if input and now you have a couple options here. You have a get button down, which happens once when the button is pressed down. You have a button up when you release the key, and you have a get button, which happens multiple times while you hold the key. And here then you need to specify the key. So in this case, key code space, like this. So if you place this here in update, it will check for the space if space is pressed. But but in most games you have ASDW movement, and for that you can check for the key for ASD or W, but there is a better way, like this. It's something called input get axis horizontal, and you can also have vertical, and this is a value that goes from when you press A. So when A, it is -1, and when you press D, it is 1, and when you press nothing, is 0, this one. And the same you have for SN W with the get axis vertical. So these are, in my opinion, the most important things in Unity. You have any questions? If not, we'll go through um, uh, the code of our last project. So I see that we don't have questions. Okay, now we'll first of all, let me show you what game we are trying to remake. I have it here in the Discord. One second, let me check. But maybe it's better if I'll delete this test script. Okay, let's first let me show you the game because it is playable. One second, I have a problem with that script. That testing. Okay, so let me first show you the game, what the progress is so far, and the idea of the game. Okay, so it's a score-based game. Um, you have fruits of different sizes. See, and you need to combine the same type, and when you do, you get a bigger fruit. That's the idea. There is already a game like this. Time to remake it, and it is playable. But let's go through. I took some time to comment every line of this, so I can explain it to you. Okay. So we have a script called Game Manager, where we have an array here of the different fruits. This is we have a variable for the current fruit. Now you see that if you play this again, you see that this fruit moves within certain limits, and that distance is this variable here called movement limit. Now this is the move speed. When you press A or D, you move this fruit to right or left. When you press space, it drops. Okay. This is a bool because we have a combined fruit coroutine, which we use this to check if that is active, and that will make sense in a second. We have some UI here for the score and high score. This one is for transition between scenes, a black fade. The score, which is a hint, and this is a bool for controlling. So this is, if this is true, then it's not game over, and also you have controls. If it's false, it's game over, and you don't have controls anymore. Okay, so in the start function, obviously the score is 0 at the start of the game. displaying is false, we disable the controls for a moment because we want that transition, that fade in and that fade out transition. Then here is something also very important. This function player prefs get int. You have some variables that are permanent and that will exist even after you close the game. And this is a variable of type int, so we get int. This is the name of the variable, and this is the default value if that doesn't exist. And then because here we load the high score, but since this is text and this is int, we need to convert it by convert it to string here. So to string we use this to convert it. Then this combined fruit, so this combined fruit method, this happens when we combine fruit. Obviously it's false because it's not happening. This is the limit, so this is the distance, the maximum distance you can move the fruit to the left or the right. And at the beginning we spawn a fruit. Now let's look at that spawn method. I decided to have a coroutine, so it happens over time. So we wait 1 second and then we get a random number, so a random type of fruit, and then instantiate. This is a very important. This is the function you use to spawn objects, and destroy is for destroying, but this is for spawn. And you first specify the object, then the position where you want this to spawn, and the rotation. And this here quaternion identity means the rotation of the prefab. Okay. Uh, Now let's look. This is we'll talk about that fade effect in a second. So this we use to spawn fruit. This. Now in the update function, if is playing, so if is not game over, we have the control logic which I placed in a function. So if current fruit is different than null, meaning it exists, we have an object in this variable current fruit. So if we have a fruit, we get the horizontal axis, which again it is -1 when A is pressed, and it is 1 when D is pressed, and 0 when none are pressed. And when you press a button, it's not it does not go um, it doesn't go instantly to -1 or 1. It goes over a period of time from 0 to those values. So here we check if horizontal axis is different than 0, so meaning if a key is pressed, A or T. Then if the fruit is within the limits, so that this means basically if the fruit is in those limits, then we teleport it slightly to the left or the right, and this translate means teleport. So you teleport the subject. Then you need to specify the direction. And since this happens many times in update, we have the move speed, and this time delta time means the difference in time between frames. So basically, if the fruit is within the limits, we move it if a key is pressed. Else, so if it is not within the limits, then we cannot leave it outside the limits, because if we do that, then we no longer have control, because it is outside the limits. So we need to place it within the limits, and to do that we need to know on which side the fruit is. So first we check if it is on the right side. So if current fruit transform position x, so the only on the x-axis, check the x-axis is bigger than 0, meaning it is on the right side. Then we teleport it slightly to the left to place it back within the limits, and the same for the left side. So this is for A and D. If we press A or D, and when we press space, so if input key down, so one time when the key is pressed down, we enable the gravity of the fruit. But to do that, we need the component. So current fruit, we get the component, the rigid body, which gives physics to the object, and we set it to 1, so we give it gravity. Then we want to spawn a new fruit, add score, and after adding score we want to update that UI here, this score test UI, score text UI, update it. But remember that this is text and this is an integer, so we need to convert it to string here. Now this is a function that starts that combined fruit. So this happens when two fruits of the same type collide, and we need to know the fruit type and also the position. So this spawn position is where the 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 fruit that results from the collision will spawn. And the reason we check if this is not happening already is because we don't want this to happen 2 times, and this will make sense in a second. But let's look at that combined fruit coroutine. So when we combine two fruits, obviously we say that that bool is true, and at the end we say it's false, just to know when this is running. We wait 1 frame because it's a coroutine, but um, okay, so here we spawn that fruit. Okay, we spawn the fruit. So we spawn, so instantiate fruits prefab, so the array of fruits. We specify the type. Then we spawn a spawn position with standard rotation, and while we spawn it, we also get the rigid body component to enable gravity, because those fruits are by default have the gravity 0 by default. Okay, now let's look. We have another script that is, this one is placed on every fruit. Okay, let me close this. So see, every fruit has this. Here we have see in this project panel here, we have the different types of fruits, and here in the inspector you can see that every type has a different value here in fruit type. Okay, and this is the script. I forgot to comment this, but I will comment it later. We have the type of the fruit, an integer. I decided that all fruits should have a circle collider, so we have the collider because you'll see in a second we need to disable it. We have the sprite renderer. We have a reference to the game manager, so the main script, this one. And every time we spawn a fruit here in the start function, we get those components, circle collider and sprite renderer. And also we get that game manager script because we want to use that function here called combine fruit. But we cannot drag this in the inspector. We need to do it at runtime. So to do that, we use a function called game object find, which will find an object with the name is the specified name. And then after we get that object, we need the script. So get component game manager. Now we have a reference to that script. And by default, these fruits here. Let's go to the game scene, and let's disable the canvas for a second to see the we have something here called endgame collider. We have a collider here, and if fruits go above this, then it's game over. And to do that, we by default these fruits, see the tag is untagged. They don't have a tag, and when they collide the first time with this endgame collider, they change to fruit. So when they are falling, they change to fruit. Okay, collision. I'm trying to understand what this is. Not sure what this is, but the idea is that once they become fruit and they collide with this end game collider, that means it's game over. This happens for two fruits of the same when two fruits of the same type collide. So on collision, so it's physics based. Collision enter. If collision, so at collision, the collider that so the object that collided with this one is fruit. We get that fruit script, and then if it's not, this means if it's not the biggest fruit, then it means we can combine. So here, if these two these two fruits are the same type, then we disable the colliders and the sprite renderer, and then here we use that function from the game manager script, start combine fruit. Obviously the fruit type will be fruit type, so the current type plus one, so it's bigger by one. Here, so remember that in this function we need to specify the fruit type and the spawn position. So here the fruit type will be the same plus one, and the position will be the position of the where the collision happened. So we get that position by contact 0 point. So this is the position of where the collision happened, and then we add score here, and we have a formula and then we update, and that's it. That's the current progress, and now we need to add a couple things, sound effects and some visual effects, and then we are finished with this game. Let's enable this canvas first. If you want, we can go through the main menu manager as well. So this is the main menu, and it's not that complicated. We just let me explain the that fade that transition from see this image that goes transparent, this black image that goes transparent slowly. So for that we have a coroutine, obviously, because it's a process that happens over time. We call this so when we fade when you go to transparent, from opaque to transparent, we say it's fade out effect. We need a time, so in how many seconds this is the time in seconds, the duration of this effect. And usually when we have a for loop we use integers, but you can use anything. So we start from 0 to 1. So basically this for loop will happen in will go from 0 to 1 in that amount of time, that specified amount of time. And then every frame we add to that t, we add the time difference between frames. So a frame, so we wait a frame, then we add the time difference between frames, which is very small, and this happens very fast. And divide by time. So if we do not divide by time, then this will happen in a second, and we divide by time to make this happen in that amount of time. And then we have the image component, color. We select the color property, and then we create a new color every frame. We maintain the red, green, and blue, and on the transparency we use something called lerp, matef lerp, which goes from this value, this is the starting value, to this value, so 1 meaning opaque to 0 meaning transparent. And then this t means so if this t is 0, we are the starting point, and if this is 1, then we are at the end. And here we set this color one more time, because this t here is not exactly 1 at the end, it's slightly lower, and we make at the end, so it will not be completely opaque, so we set it completely opaque at the end. So that's how that works. And now let's add some sound effects and some visual effects. Let's go to my assets here. Have cartoon sound effects, and after this we are finished with this game. Let's see, let's import this one. And we also need some visual effects here. Let's check particles. Cartoon, let's try this one. And if this is not okay, let's try this, the other one. So this is how you import assets to Unity from the Unity asset store. You simply go to the website, add the assets to your liked assets, and then you can select them. But you need to be logged to your account to do this. Then you download one more asset here, and then we can start adding effects. Here, let's test some sound effects. Okay, not this one. Uh, this will, I don't like this. Let's try sound effects. In casual, this one should work. Now we need to look for some. We need a sound effect for when the fruits collide. Let's save this one. Call this fruit collide. Let's put it at the beginning to place it at the start here. Okay, now I will explain how to add sound effects. Let's go to our game scene, and we want this to happen at the collision. So we need to go to our game manager here, and here where we combine fruits, we want this to happen. And after that, let's also add a background music. But first, let's create here a public game object sound. Let's make an array just in case we need multiple sound effects. So now we have an array for sound effects. And we need two types of so here in audio let's create a folder called this prefabs, and we want create in the scene an empty object, and we'll call this sound effect. And to register the sound effect, to hear it, we need an audio listener which is on the camera already. Every camera comes with the audio listener. So we on the sound effect we need something called audio source, which will play the sound. And here where it says audio clip, it's the sound file. So let's place this actually never. Okay, let's call this fruit collide sound effect. Okay, here you can loop it. Um, Usually for background music, this is a sound effect, so we will not loop this. Here you have spatial blend. If you want the sound to be 3D, we'll give it 2D, so it sounds the same from all positions. And we'll need to have a script for this called we'll make a new script called sound effect. And inside this script we need to, once the sound finishes, the sound effect finishes, we want to destroy this. But to know if the sound is playing, we need the audio source component. So audio source. But if we do this, we also must say using Unity Engine UI audio source. Oh, why doesn't source? Okay. Okay. I need to specify now. So audio source like this, and when the this object spawns, we get the component. So audio source is get component audio source. Now we have the component, and in the update function we check if it's not playing, so audio source is playing. See, I placed this exclamation mark sign, so this means not playing. This means not. So if it's not playing, then destroy this game object. Now let's go to our game manager, and before you add it to the function, we need to save this here in prefabs. So we have the sound effect object, and we need to place it in the array that we created. So plus that is here, and here at collision, so combined fruit here, uh, sound effect. Let's add the sound effect. So instantiate sound effects 0, so the first one, because the array is, starts from 0. Then the position vector 3 0. These don't matter at all, the rotation and the position. It says it doesn't exist. I forgot to add an S here. Sound effects. Okay, so now we have a sound at collision, and now let's find some background music. I keep clicking the Chrome button. Let's search for music. Christmas piano music, not that one. Lo-fi for best selection. And after that we'll try to add some visual effects. Let me check how much space I have on the hard drive. Okay, I have a lot of space. This will take a while. It's 300 megabytes. And after we add the background music, we'll add some effect, and we want to maybe look again at that loose that end game condition, not loose game, but end game condition. I'm not sure if that is correct. After that, we are finished for today. If you have any questions, please write them in the chat or just ask me directly, because I know this is a lot for a beginner, but I'm not sure what your level is. These are for me the most important things about. Maybe you have questions. Okay, we have the music. Now let's go. We want that music to start at and I'll show you, if you want, even how to fade in and fade out music. But first let's go to the scene. So main menu, scene. Let's open the script, main menu manager, and inside here we want to spawn that background music, but first let's create it. So let's go. Let's create an empty object here. We call this background music, and we need the audio source component. Let's select some music. Let's see how this sounds. Don't like this one. try this one. And since it's background music, we want to loop this. Play on awake, okay. uh, and now we want to save this here in our prefabs. We have it here in our script. We want to create a variable for this, so public game object background music object. Now let's go to the inspector and place it in the variable. Place that prefab. Now we have it. We just need to check if it exists, because if it exists we don't need to spawn it in start here. And we want we actually want this to be to have no volume. We want to fade to volume, to 100% volume from 0. I'll show you how to do that. First we spawn it, so but before we spawn it, we check if it exists. So if game object dot find background music, if this is null, so if we search for it and we don't find it, so if background music doesn't exist, then we spawn it, spawn background music, and so instantiate background music object. Position doesn't matter, rotation doesn't matter, but when you spawn an object, at the end of its name it will have it will have the word clone added to it. So to fix this, after we spawn it, we select the name and say background music. So you can do that at the same time, spawn the object and modify a property. Okay, so we spawn the music if it doesn't exist, but we set the volume to zeros, and here when we fade out, so here let's say fade image effect, and you also want to fade sound, or not sound, let's be specific, background music. Okay, but we need that audio source component. So here let's say audio source background music, yes, so audio source is equal to, and I made a mistake here when we instantiate this, we want to place it in that we want to place this in an object, or actually let's just take that the audio source component of that audio source background music, yes. So first let's get that component. So now we have the audio source component of the background music in a variable. So spawn background music and save the audio source component, and then we want to change the name, name. So this name to back music. So now we have that component. So here audio source, sorry, background music audio source volume equal to this we left from, So we start from 0 to 1, and now we fade the music as well when the game starts. And when we start the game here in play game currently, we want to do the same, so we copy this line, we copied this line here, but this time from 1 to 0. Okay, so we fade the volume from 100% to 0. And here in our game scene, in our game manager, we want to save that background music audio source component here as well, so we can fade back audio source like this. And at the start we want to get this, get audio source component of background music. So this is equal to game object find background music. Now we need the component, not the whole object, so get component audio source. Now we have that, and we can modify here in fade out effects. So if I'm correct, this goes from so this happens at the beginning of the game. So if it is at the beginning, we want to fade to 100%, so we copy this line here after the. So now we should have the music should fade as well. Let's try the game. Now we have an error here because we do not have the okay. So here see we have the problem because that fade effect happens before we create the background music. So now needs to be, we need to create the background music first. Okay. Now we have another issue. Let's see. In this fade out effect, we have a problem here for some reason. Okay, let's see the line exactly. 67. What is 67? This one. Okay. Um. Yes, it seems maybe I should add Unity Engine audio, but I don't think this is the problem. It's not. So let's see what we did wrong here. So if the background music doesn't exist, so we use the game object find function. Is different than okay, I see. Here is the problem. Here this should be equal. Yeah. So if the this returns null, meaning it doesn't exist. See, that sound fades. Now we have an error in the game scene. Here we have the problem. This returned null. This line 45. Let's see background music. Let's compare this to this. Okay, I see what the problem is. Okay, we forgot to maintain it between scenes, and to do that, we need to add a script here. We'll call this don't destroy on load script. So the problem was that the background music is destroyed when the new scene is loaded, the game scene is loaded. We need to maintain this between scenes. So we created an empty script, and we simply just need to say at the start, don't destroy on load game object. And now it will not be destroyed between scenes. Let's test if this works. I'll make this full screen, and also I'll show you how to make this animation here. See, now it works. We have a fade. Let's see if we hear that sound effect. See, now we have an error. We have an error for the sound effect. Okay, we have a null reference, so something is null. 132. This one. 139. Yes, we forgot to add that sound effect here, I believe. Okay, we forgot to add the sound effect in to our script. So let's go to game manager, plus here, audio prefab, fruit collide sound effect. And you also should have a sound from for when we drive the fruit. See, now we have the sound effect. We have the sound effect, but I would also like some visual effect. Let's see what we have here. Let's disable this canvas for a second. But let's go to our game scene first. Okay, let's disable this canvas to see the scene. Also, let's add the fruit to see how big it is. Now we need the visual effect. Let's see what we have here. Particles, not atmosphere, normal, basic, spark, but okay. See what we have here. This one is nice, but it's too big. Try the other one. Prefer the first one. So this one. Let's resize it, but when you resize it, you select all the components. We want this to be here where it says render. We want this to be. We want to create a new layer for this, so it's above everything else. We need to go to here, our sprite renderer, and add a sorting layer. We'll call this effect. Now we have a layer above everything. We want to unpack this so it's no longer a prefab. Then we need to resize on all axes. Axis, try half of the size. It's still too big. Let's try 3 here, but not like this. Need to select everything. I like it like this. Good, good. Let's rename this then to fruit collision effect. Okay. Now we need to save it in our assets here in prefabs. But let's create let's keep this organized maybe. No, let's just save it like this. So now we have a visual effect. We need to save this. We need to create an array for visual effects in our game manager. Public game object array again, just in case we need multiple effects. So here we say visual effects. Now let's delete this apple here. Use this to resize that effect. So visual effects, so we add one, drag and drop this. Okay, and now we need to go to our collide, our combine fruit function, and here we want to use that position, that spawn position. That spawn position we want to spawn the visual effect. So first, so here we spawn the next. So spawn fruit of next type here. But before that, we wanted the effect. Spawn visual effect. So instantiate visual effect 0. The position should be spawn position. The rotation doesn't matter. Now we should have a visual effect when fruits collide. Please ask anything in chat. We have a null reference here. I wonder why. Yes, it is because we started the game from the game scene. We need to start it from main menu here. Otherwise, the background music doesn't exist. Okay. So see, you can hear the fade also. Maybe the volume is a bit too high. See, we have a nice visual effect now. Maybe we should use that. See, I noticed that we have a bug here. We have a little bug. You started C++. We also solve C++ problems sometimes here. We solved C++ problems in the past. I forgot to upload the video, but I will upload it to YouTube and send it to you. We solved problems, C++ problems that students take here in Romania at the end of high school. Okay, see ya. And okay, I guess the game is almost done, but we have a little bug here. I noticed that sometimes fruit collides with two fruits of the same type, which is not okay, and that should be fixed. But I think we are almost done with this. In fact, I believe we are done with this. And tomorrow and Sunday we meet at the same hour, and we'll try to make. I sent you on here on Discord. If you look at let's see, where is it? No, I sent you in private this link. So I'll copy this in our server. So we'll try to recreate that one, but a little bit different. And I have another idea for another game with score. And this one will make for PC and Android as well. That will be fun. And that's it for today. If you guys have any questions for me. Nope. Okay. Then see you tomorrow at the same hour for so at the same hour. Okay. No, thank you for coming. Okay. See you tomorrow. Bye.